first photosynth is actually, I was in the Walmart. We were about to hike the Grand Canyon. It was like 10 p.m. and I was on the toilet and I got the app. So the first photosynth is in a Walmart bathroom. That's how it started, to be honest. I still have it. You see my knees, it's part of the thing. And that was the first, that's how I got it. My first photosynth.
Would you ever imagine, Daniel, that your journey would take you from a Walmart bathroom
to the whole world? Yeah,
to the whole world.
Click. Meta has that. It's the neuro band, so you can in minutes set it up. You get used to you start by doing this, and then you just think of doing that, and it clicks.
Oh, Jesus!
So eventually, you could just be scrolling. You could be doom scrolling like this, just thinking about it. Yeah, you're just sitting there doom scrolling.
At least before you burn some calories,
now it's
up and down
like this.
Now you're just literally there, doom scrolling, up and down.
Yeah. So I didn't buy it. So it's almost like a gigapixel panorama at the time, and there was a guy there who was like, "This is really cool." I said, "We can maybe sell this to places around in Costa Rica, San Jose." We went to the mall, tried to sell it to them, but it's Costa Rica and like a mall in 2012 having virtual tours and immersive shopping was
too advanced.
They were,
the market was not ready.
No, exactly.
Daniel, it is so cool to have you here. I've been looking forward to having you on the podcast for a while now. Just you taking the next level. Us on the ProAV system integration side, broadcast side, we talk a little bit about immersive experiences. And there are a lot of immersive experiences, I think, out there in terms of installs and experiences, especially live events. We're talking about the Taylor Swift tour and stuff like that. But you're actually putting it into action. Like you're doing a lot of cool stuff. So why don't we start off with talking a little bit about yourself and how it all started?
How it all started. Yeah. Well, my background is in physics, so I did biophysics as a specialization, did some research on carbon nanotubes, atomic force microscopy in Berlin, in Germany at the Technical University. I also worked with photosynthetic bacteria, extracting their proteins to model it for solar cells so we could get better efficiency, copying nature and engineering. And after I graduated, I went on a trip from Montreal to LA. We did a 3-week road trip. And my dad's had this app called Free App of the Day. At the time, iPhone was just coming out. Everyone was making apps. And I had this app and I just was scrolling I was in Walmart just waiting or road tripping. And I see this app called Photosynth. I thought, oh, this looks interesting. It was a Microsoft Research Labs pilot app. And it allowed you using the gyroscope to rotate your phone and take photos, and it would stitch them together. And I was like, this is great for our trip. So I started using it in the Grand Canyon and Sequoia National Park.
Nice.
And you could, it wasn't the best stitching because your hand is moving. It's not like a perfect spherical camera, but it was enough to get all these cool panoramas. You could share it online and people could look and zoom in and see everything. So that's how I got into 360s. It was just this random app. And then I went to Mongolia, used it all over there. Went to Costa Rica, and then I found on Microsoft Research Labs website, they launched a desktop version of this same software, and you could, instead of just using your phone, now you could import your DSLR photos, create higher quality, with nice glass media. So I think my first one was 40 pictures all around because that was an 18 millimeter lens. So it took a lot of photos. But then when I got the full panorama, you could zoom in and read text on like the finest, because it was so high resolution. So it's almost like a gigapixel panorama at the time. And there was a guy there who was like, this is really cool. I said, we can maybe sell this to places around in Costa Rica, San Jose. We went to the mall, tried to sell it to them. We made we cloned their site and inserted panoramas of the stores to show them what it could look like. But it's Costa Rica and like a mall in 2012 having virtual tours and immersive shopping was
too advanced.
They were,
the market was not ready.
No, exactly. So then we gave up on that. And then I just kept working with what I had. And I made a demo with what I had. I went to the biggest hotel there, the Grand Hotel Costa Rica. Said, I do virtual tours. I could make one for you. Here's some examples. I think they gave me $2,000 US. Said, let's do it. I did it in about a day. And then I went the same day, I went next door to try to sell it to the hotel and said, they're just buying it right now. They said, no, we can't let them be the only one. So they bought a tour as well. And
this one was 2,500.
Yeah, something like that around there. So I laid out all the cash on my bed. I'm like, look, I have all this money. And then I had to move to Venezuela with my then girlfriend. There was all these resorts in the tourist town of island of Margarita. And I went from resort to resort, walking with my iPad, showing them the work. And there was a huge interest. Google Street View was still taking off. So there was Google Street View photographers and virtual tours that are more custom based. I think I got 3 months for free at a resort, plus payment, food and drink included the whole time. Wow. Penthouse at another one. They paid for my flights back as well. So it was like, it's like I had like a gold thing I could offer them, and everybody, there was no one walking around doing that in those areas. When I came back here, I went to the 1234 de la Montagne. It was a club. MC Mario's club. Just walked in and I somehow met him, spoke to him, and we did a tour of that place. So that was my first Canadian contract, maybe in like 2014, roughly. And then just started selling it to like museums. We got Pointe Carrière Museum.
That's 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago. We did the first... They were just digging up the foundations of the Montreal city, the Fort Ville-Marie, what was the ruins. So my friend, who was an archaeologist working there, and he wanted to document this so we'd have it as a record. So we did drone, 360, virtual tour, and all that. And those few projects were enough to get us more and more clients. We even did the Museum of Civilization in Ottawa, the Museum of War, full virtual tour of the entire exhibit. And those were old projects that, with these more reputable organizations, gave us bigger and bigger contracts. Now we've done stuff with the government of Canada, the Ottawa Senators, all the banks. We've done the Place Victoria, the Group Mac, maybe you know them. They were redoing their whole lobby, so we virtualized it in VR. And they wanted to save, I think it was a $20 million contract. Fasken and Martineau were thinking of changing their lease to a different building. And they said, we need to keep them. So we made a virtual reality experience to show the architect's rendering of the lobby, how it will look, because they wanted a more modern look and feel. So at their big presentation with the board, they had our VR to show them what it would look like. And they closed the deal. Wow. They had other elements that helped them, but the VR was one of those. So anyway, it just kept evolving. Like I said earlier, Lucky Palmer made a Kickstarter project with the initial Oculus headset. And it was enough to get, I think, $1 million. We got a first prototype. Friend got it off Kickstarter. I got to try the earliest DK1, development kit one.
The one that looked like a Kleenex box?
Yeah, I should have brought it. I have it in my office. I forgot to bring it. Yeah, it's a big box like this. It made you nauseous because the tracking was late. So every time you turn your head, it was just slightly off. Version 2 was a lot better. And then, as you know, Facebook bought it for $2 billion. And then we got the first Oculus Rift and so on. And that, it was very gaming intensive. We were never in the gaming space because we believed it was just for capturing reality, capturing moments that you could then revisit forever. Yeah. And for archaeology, museums to document what they were doing. And obviously live concerts, experiences like that. Tourism was a big one. We often tried to sell our VR to Tourisme Montréal. But again, it was a little too early. They didn't have the hardware and the back end to support all this content. Yeah. But that's kind of how we got started. And as we got bigger, I had a larger and larger team. We had an office on Casgrain in next to Ubisoft in those big industrial buildings. Yep. We were there for about 80 years until the pandemic. Oh, yeah. And then the pandemic, we had to close our offices because we had a co-working space, a production studio as well. And at the end, it was just me working from there during the pandemic. So I said, I think we were paying about $3,000 a month, and said, we need to just cut our losses for this, and went fully virtual. So, and then during the pandemic, just to quickly say, we pivoted to virtual events because that's what everybody was doing. So I created, I think for Square Enix, they were here, Square Enix Game Studios, they had their 5th anniversary of the Hitman series. So to celebrate, because they couldn't do it in person, we created a metaverse world in the Hitman mansion. You know the Hitman, there's a mansion. So the employees could have a party in their own mansion that they designed. Everybody had these costumes. The CEO was there giving a speech. There was a dance party. And it was kind of a good way to make some cash with virtual events.
That's amazing.
And now we're just continuing to grow. Most of the team is fully remote. So we meet virtually in a virtual office space. We have channels to talk on Slack, like a Slack-like experience, but in this virtual lab. And they're all over the world. I have a team in Ukraine, in India, and one in France as well. And sometimes I just outsource to various people.
That's impressive.
Wow.
That initial conversation, I'd love to hear what that initial pitch was when your first hotel, because that is, I think, the initial. I think it's the hardest part of getting a project is how do you talk about something that they're not even aware exists, and how does what was that conversation like?
Well, the iPad helped because I didn't have my Spanish is great now because I spent so much time in these countries. At the time, I was like tour virtual, kind of trying to say it in Spanish, showing them the content. I think she called her manager, and then he saw there was something interesting. Luckily, the owners were more Anglophone. I think I was using what was it? There was like a book publishing thing in the iPad. If you want to have your PDFs, I forget the name, but you had to. So to get the virtual tour, I had to publish it as an ebook and load it on the iPad. So then you can look around in 360. There was no way to get it on there, so I could actually show it to clients. Now it's a lot easier. By the time I had to hack the iPad just to be able to show this stuff. I forget the ebook format. There was something with Apple's own proprietary ebooks. But yeah, that's how the iPad is key, because it's a technology that unless you see it or try it, like you said, people don't understand the benefits.
Yeah.
So it was really key to at least, and especially with the gyroscope, you could then turn it and look around. Yeah. That was another cool thing, having the gyroscope to see, wow, it's interactive and I can look around.
So you're not talking about ROI here. Like the initial conversation had nothing to do with ROI. It was just basically,
would you like to be the first one?
Yeah, and here's how you could elevate, I guess, the experience.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking of it from the business and how it will impact their profits and all that. Just I figured you have a hotel, people want to see the rooms and the common spaces. Let's show it off so you could put it on your website. And I've never followed up with that Grand Hotel Costa Rica, but I got to go in the presidential suite. President Kennedy stayed there. They still have, they still have his room all set up. So that was a big project at the time. I was like, wow, it's Kennedy's room.
Wow.
Now we've done so many crazy things. We've traveled. Actually, I should mention, doing VR, we worked with World Vision, and with their team, we traveled to India, Rwanda. We went to Nepal. We've also gone to Haiti, Morocco, Switzerland, Belgium. I think we did, I mentioned Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, and then all over the States as well. And so we've done projects all over, and really just seeing the world and being paid to travel and go to these unique places was a big plus.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And I have an anecdotes for everything. Back in 2012, when the iPhone 4 came out, I was in France and I bought it in France, and I did use photosynth, and I basically took picture of all my trip with this app. So I remember
you had it too. Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
most people are like, "What? I never heard of photosynth." It's you're the first one.
What I liked about the app is that you would see where should be taken the next picture. So there were squares all around you, and
it would guide you.
Yeah, you see the thing build up at the same time you're using
and
it.
you didn't even have to take the photo. Once you start, the moment you get to the edge, it just takes a photo. So you're just moving your phone and it fills it out automatically.
And bear in mind, in 2012, I really looked stupid on those archaeologic sites, doing this.
Yeah, and if people walked into your shot, it ruins it, because then there's someone in the shot they're
properly
cut in half. Yeah, my first photosynth was actually, I was in the Walmart. We were about to hike the Grand Canyon. It was 10 p.m. and I was on the toilet and I got the app. So the first photosynth is in a Walmart bathroom. That's how it started, to be honest. I still have it. You see my knees. It's part of the thing, and that was the first. That's how I got it. My first photosynth.
Would
you ever imagine, Daniel, that your journey would take you from a Walmart bathroom
to the whole world. Yeah,
to the whole world.
If I had just not opened that app and kept going, maybe I never found it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Could have had a whole other journey.
You would be in science probably or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that app really was the beginning.
Yeah, I was supposed to go back when I got back from the trip. I was supposed to do my master's at UDM in photosynthesis solar cell research lab with this. So, and then that derailed my whole trips.
And it's like funny enough, like linking those things. He was about to do a master in photosynthesis, but he used the app called Photosynth.
Yeah. Oh my god, I never thought of that. Wow, that's true.
So
I went from photosynth, but in different ways.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Just for everybody out there who's not aware, can you kind of give a bit of a difference between, because I have to read this quote from your website, which is what Imagine 360, that's your company. And this is Imagine 360. We create immersive VR, AR, and MR experiences that captivate audiences, elevate brand storytelling, and drive measurable results so you can focus on what matters most, which is growing your business. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of give, and I love that, by the way.
Thank you.
Can you tell the audience a little bit of what is the difference between XR, VR, and AR?
It is a hot topic, and not everyone can. It's even in between professionals, we disagree on some of the terms, but my definition would be XR is the umbrella term for AR, VR, MR. It's not its own thing. It's just extended reality.
Yeah.
So everything that AR, VR, and MR combine. Virtual reality, you've seen, it's when you put on a headset and you're watching something that you can look around in 360.
This is the most popular and the most well-known.
Yeah, exactly. And within that, there's a distinction between 360 video. So like a camera like this will produce a 360 video that you can look around in. But you could do that on your computer too, and you could still, on YouTube, there's 360 videos. Mm-hmm. You could watch this on YouTube and have the same experience. But for VR professionals, we would say it's not virtual reality. That's just a 360 video. It's virtual reality when you shoot with a camera like the bigger one that has 6 lenses in stereo pairs, and your eyes will get one. It's like if you had one of these for each eye.
Gotcha.
And then you're getting a stereoscopic image. The feeling of immersion is a lot greater because you can see the depth in the scene, and when things come close to you, you really feel like it's in your face.
Gotcha.
So the level of immersion is a lot greater when you have stereoscopic. So 360 stereoscopic video is considered virtual reality. Mm-hmm. In the live action capture component, there's also the game world engine. So everything that's Unreal Engine, Unity, where you can actually move your head around in the scene, grab objects, that too is virtual reality. So you have CGI-based 3D environments that are virtual reality and video-based 360 stereoscopic. There's also volumetric video is another interesting way to experience virtual reality. So imagine you've seen maybe sports now are starting to do this. They have a large array of cameras filming video from every angle. All those frames are fed into an AI neural rendering engine, and then you can replay the video, and then you're able to move around within the scene and go from any angle.
So that's what we saw at the Olympics that I was talking about. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, that's volumetric video. So back in the day, you could have a semi-spherical array around a person and do sort of like a bullet time experience in the Matrix, when it goes like this.
Yeah.
But that was just a bunch of cameras taking photos, and then they're just switching from camera to camera.
That's right.
So it freezes the moment. He's not actually doing any live action. But now we have the technology and the processors to put all the data together. I think Intel had a very large sound stage like that, where they had, it was like the biggest one in the world. They had a whole big fight scene with horses, and all the cameras are filming. You can then pause it and go see from any angle like a movie scene, but fully immersive. So the 360 video, we call that 3DOF, and 3DOF means 3 degrees of freedom, because you can rotate your head in those 3 degrees, whereas 6DOF is 6 degrees of freedom. You can move forward, backwards, up, down in the scene. So
because I've seen those terms before, but I was wondering, okay.
Yeah, so in a 3DOF, you can look around, and that's what a 360 video camera would produce. You can only look around. Whereas in a game engine or a fully volumetric video scene, you can move within that and have 6 degrees of freedom. So those are the virtual reality, VR terms. Augmented reality, the way I would consider it is when you have a Pokemon Go, for example, you open your phone and you see like a Pokemon on the ground, or maybe you're using the IKEA app to see furniture in your home, then the camera has its own, sometimes there's a LiDAR, but mostly it's just using the camera to see the space.
Yeah.
It has SLAM technology called simultaneous localization and mapping technology. So it's localizing the camera in space and mapping surfaces like the wall, a table, the ground. Knowing those, it can then place objects in the space around you, but you're seeing it through your phone. So that's augmented because it's augmenting your reality.
Yeah.
Now, if you take that same concept of having 3D models in the space around you, but you put it on your eyes, and each lens is showing you the same, a 3D view, meaning your left eye sees the Pokemon slightly from here and the right eye from here. Now the Pokemon seems to be a
3D,
really 3D stereoscopic, and you don't need you're not looking at it through a phone. It's just overlaid on your eyes. That we would call mixed reality, because it's now mixing 3D stuff with your reality, and there's nothing in the way.
Interesting.
So the Oculus Quest headset has virtual reality, but if you tap it, it removes the virtual and you see through the cameras in the front. Oh. It has 2 stereo cameras. And so now with starting the Quest 2, they had mixed reality pass-through mode, but the cameras were black and white. So it wasn't very immersive because you're in a black and white version of your living room or whatever.
Yeah.
Now it has color pass-through, and it's 60 frames per second, high refresh rate. So as you move and each eye is seeing the left and right cameras, so you have stereoscopy, and you can overlay models in your space. So it really feels like the what's that movie with Minority Report? With all the screens. Yes. You could do that, and you have hand tracking. So that's mixed reality, and all 3 together comprise XR. But that's how we would, and maybe Meta's glasses would be more considered augmented reality. The latest version, you can have information here, but anything that's a heads-up display on your glasses is not truly augmented reality.
It's just adding.
It's more a heads-up display on your
transparency.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
Okay, so that's not even called mixed reality or AR.
No, I wouldn't call that mixed reality, because you're just seeing a chat and like the time and an AI prompt. But glasses like Magic Leap, maybe you ever heard of Magic Leap? They were a small startup, but they got billions in funding because they promised a lot of cool tech. They had a nice demo that sold a lot for them. Basically, they have a whole other level of technology, which I think Meta is currently working on with this Project Orion, it's called. And I know we're going deep here, but
I love going deep.
I'm passionate. I'm really passionate about this. Yeah. I've never got to experience it fully. The closest headset to that was the Microsoft HoloLens. Maybe you've heard of HoloLens.
Yeah.
It also did well for a while. I think maybe some people are still using it on the enterprise side, but not as much. But instead of having a screen with lenses that you're seeing information on, video, and then it's brought into your eyes through a lens, here you have a glass that has a waveguides, and the glass can simulate photons of light the same way that they would happen to come off, let's say, this water bottle. So light is hitting here, and it's not video, it's just light coming off the bottle. It goes into each eye, and my brain has to then process that light to see a 3D image of this.
Wow.
So this headset will pretend there's a Pokemon here. Instead of just showing me pixels on a screen of the Pokemon, it will simulate for each eye the light that would be coming off of that 3D model as if it was there. And it's my brain that's then interpreting that light to produce the image. So it creates a much more tangible 3D immersion, because it feels like you're just really seeing it with your naked eye. And if I were to focus my eyes on the microphone, because that eye, the light coming from that object is simulated, when I focus on this, that 3D element will become blurry in the background. Oh. You can focus on it or here, and it's physically in your space, and your eyes can adjust to it. So,
sorry, stupid question. Is that a little bit like ray tracing for a computer?
It's essentially like it's tracing the rays that would come there, but instead of calculating just how the light would reflect off it, it generates the full thing. You could have ray tracing added on for better lighting. Yeah, but it's essentially simulating the photons that would be coming off of surfaces. So imagine a car, and you could see it as if it was there, versus just seeing video on the screen. If you have good enough screens, you could remove the pixels like a retina screen, but this is even better, I think. So they're still working on that, how to make it smaller, higher resolution, better contrast and saturation. But waveguides will eventually be, I think, in the Meta glasses.
So that's called waveguides. And you said, what was the name of the company that HoloLens and Magic Leap. Magic Leap. They still have Magic Leap 2, but it never is expensive too. I think it was like $3,000, and developing for it there wasn't enough demand, so not enough developers. So it was catch-22 kind of.
So the real question is it all hype, or is it actually deployable?
It was hype at the time.
Yeah.
Everybody said it's just hype. No one, it's not going to happen. But I think with advances in technology, AI to, improve frame rates and resolution, we'll be able to have something small and powerful enough that it could be just on maybe with like a battery or a processor that's off device and just streaming to the glasses.
And that's something that you're trying to foresee to help your business and help other businesses, right? Like, I mean,
mixed reality, yes, because it's more accessible. This more waveguide based mixed reality, I think, is still maybe years away. So we're not building around that. More commercial applications, enterprise, still doing some hotels and resorts, but we've moved to industrial applications. I've done a lot of mining work as well. I've been all over the United States and Canada in gold mines, iron, graphite.
And what does that do? So
what's the application for that?
Training? No, it's not training. So let's say you're an investor and you want to invest in a mine. My client has like the LinkedIn of the mining world. So if a mine wants to be on LinkedIn, they go to this platform. It's called Verify, and you can see a map of the world. You can see mines wherever they are. They have their pitch deck, who the leaders are, the owners. You can then see 3D samples of cross sections of the drilling, so you can see the deposits, the different density of deposits, how much there is. How that's overlaid on all of that. And so they do that just from the data they extract, but then they'll send me or people who do VR to fly. We fly a drone, get 360 panoramas all over the thing, and go into the tunnels underground. So there I need to bring lights because it's usually pretty dark.
Oh, yeah.
But they want to see the quality of the equipment, how well it's made, so that instead of the investor having to travel there to inspect the mine, they could maybe make a decision to invest from wherever they are in the world, just from this virtualized experience. They could see how the mine is developing, what buildings they have, where they do the crushing, the production, every stage of the mine. Yeah.
So is it the chicken or the egg? Is it you coming up with these type of applications? Are you seeing demand for it? Are you seeing other people like coming to you and saying, is there something that you can help in this type of vertical or industry, or how are you navigating?
Yeah. So sometimes we will create something new and then try to propose that to a client, but we're not building any IP. So we're not trying to create, for now at least. I've been working on some ideas for apps, but for the most part, clients will find us or we'll meet somewhere at a networking event. Mm-hmm. Like, we have this challenge, we need to do this, and then we'll work backwards from that to develop. Okay. Maybe it's drones in 360 or augmented reality or mixed reality or a web-based 360 solution, or just a virtual tour sometimes is enough.
What would you say is like the trend right now? What does everybody want?
The trend, I think, more moving away from big goggles that you put on your head. Meta, like I said, has laid off a lot of people. They saw it wasn't growing as fast as they wanted. Mobile is always a big one because it's in your hand. So anything that's with your phone is easy. Everyone has a phone. You could just put a QR code and then I scan it, and now I have, an augmented reality experience. You can take photos with it and share it more easily. So that is one thing, going towards AR. And 360 video is still pretty strong. Virtual tours is a steady, I would say, for hotels and resorts. I mentioned augmented reality. That was with the phone, but glasses. There's a lot of glasses that have come out. The Meta Ray-Ban glasses don't have true AR, but there's a company like X-Real, and I forget the other ones that have pretty compact glasses. You can put a giant virtual screen and watch your either stream from your computer. So you could work with 3 screens, or you could have 360 videos playing, and they're like compact VR glasses, but they have an augmented reality component. And there's not enough content for it, but if you have an application, at least the hardware is there to do augmented reality with compact glasses.
Yeah. I see the Ray-Bans all the time, all over the place.
Yeah. I'm about to buy the latest ones.
Yeah.
Because just not having to reach your phone, you can just see it here is handy. And going live, streaming, or taking a photo or recording from your glasses is... I could be streaming live right now to people from my point of view. That'd be sweet.
Apparently, Zuckerberg was in a trial last week, and the agents, like his security agents, came in.
They had
all the latest version of Ray-Ban, and the judge had to say, no one is taking video live here, please.
Wow.
Yeah, they had to take them off.
Yeah, they had to take the camera.
Because it was a hearing about privacy laws, and then they have the glasses, which is like anti-privacy.
I just have a question.
I know, seriously.
Because we didn't talk about for me, it's kind of the elephant in the room, because I almost bought one. I want to know what you think about, and let's not go for 12 minutes about this, but what do you think about the Apple headset?
Right. Sorry, the water went down badly.
We can fill the time. I mean, because I almost bought it. Like I
recently went to the Apple store like a couple of weeks ago, and I was going to put it on, but I had my 2 kids running around, and I knew that as soon as I put them on, I was going to lose them. Yeah, even though I know I can see like what, I don't know if you want to call it mixed reality or augmented reality, but yeah.
Yeah, so I've only tried it once. I went to the Apple store. I got the demo. The headset is amazing. It's definitely one of the best headsets you can get. I think it's like their phone has the XDR display. So it's super rich colors, super high contrast, very bright. I think it's about 16K resolution. So you need very high resolution cameras to capture the content for it. I couldn't see any pixels, no screen door effect like you're watching through a screen door. It was comfortable. I tried the eye tracking. Yeah. So you just look around like this and click with your thumb. And eventually I think they'll have like a little thing on your wrist. So you could just think of clicking without having to actually move your hand, and it'll click. Meta has that. It's the neural band. So you can, in minutes, set it up. You get used to you start by doing this, and then you just think of doing that, and it clicks.
Oh, Jesus.
So eventually you could just be scrolling. You could be doom scrolling like this, just thinking about it. Yeah, you're just sitting there doom scrolling.
At least before you burn some calories,
now it's
up and down
like this.
Now you're just literally there doom scrolling up and down.
Yeah. So I didn't buy it because the Meta Quest headset now it's $300 for the 3S is much more accessible. Maybe there's some subsidies, that's why it's cheaper, but eventually they're releasing, I think version 2 was being released. I was tempted to buy that, and then I heard they're killing off the whole project. So there might not be much moving forward. I think it was just too expensive, and not enough people bought it. So there was not enough people to do apps. Again, the same problem. Not enough developers were building stuff. There were some videos they made with like a Titanic sort of remake. I don't know if you heard about that. They had the largest ever set because you're in 180 VR and you have these huge cameras to record. You can't do the same kind of cinema tricks. So you had to build these large sets. So they made one very good immersive video with that. One was about Free Solo with that Alex Honnold guy. Yep. There was a Free Solo 180 VR experience. And they did something with F1 and Brad Pitt, another thing. One nature scene as well. And there was a story. You could make your own apps and push your own content through. But without enough people watching it, you're not going to make enough money on your investment. So I think they saw also that Meta and Samsung and other companies are doing these augmented reality glasses. And from what I heard, they're ditching that to go towards AR glasses.
So Daniel, are you making content or coming up with ideas based on the technology that is being released? Like you keep mentioning this was killed or this was introduced and then we were making videos for it. Like what's your process? Like, are you looking at what companies are investing in and what they're about to release and making content around that? Or is the content just adaptable to all these devices?
Most of the content is adaptable. Obviously, if AR would be hard to put in VR unless we just reuse the 3D assets and build a whole scene around it. 360 video, we could just film, and mostly it runs on any device, even on YouTube and on your phone. So we won't really look at what the companies are doing, except for when we're trying to create a very new, high-tech, innovative, cutting-edge project. And we need, for example, recently I had a pharmaceutical company. They wanted to create a VR video of what it's like they make medication and pills, how it's made from the lab, how it's shipped around the world and goes to the pharmacy, and then the client walks in and picks up the box. And they wanted you to be like an ego flying through the production facility, shipping it worldwide into distribution and into a pharmacy. In the end, we just used AI to generate most of the scenes because their budget was quite low. But the head said that the CEO said, I want these glasses. He said it has to be on these glasses. He didn't want a Meta Quest or an Apple. It's too big. And at their trade shows or at the pharmacies, they didn't want to have to put on this big thing. So he had that was a constraint to use these very thin, and those glasses, you couldn't even move, even if you moved your head, the video would stay with you. You couldn't look around within a screen. So then I had to do research on, I think, Samsung had a very small, it's called the Elite something glasses. They didn't really do very well, but they're still available for purchase. So we said the closest thing we can have is this. So we had to build our whole project around these glasses.
So sometimes you'd have a specific order to fit on a device, but technically you're not doing it all the time. You're
it's rare. Content. In the end, the video production was the same as we'd have done for anything else, but here we had to find specific hardware to fit. So to answer your question, most of the time we don't. Our clients will come to us with we need to film this thing. And for the most part, our cameras haven't changed in that long, in much time. It's still pretty much the same. It's just getting better resolution and higher quality, more cinematic sensors and lenses.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that has changed the industry now is the Blackmagic the Ursa Cinema, right? The 12K camera. That has upped the game because now you have 12K per eye, 90 frames per second. And the whole Apple collaborated with Blackmagic to create a new section in DaVinci Resolve. It's the whole Immersive suite. And it's the first color grading that is, instead of grading each video separately, they're essentially combined together.
Wow.
I forget the name of the format, but you're working on one side of one eye, and the second video, instead of being a mirror with all the same pixels, it only has the extra pixels that are different than the left eye. So it optimizes the video for it's less bandwidth, less processing power needed to work on it, because it's just segmenting the difference from the one of the eyes versus having two full videos for each. So the whole pipeline is very nice. I've worked with some sample footage from the immersive camera, and it ran really well to create the first 12K tests for that client, actually. Wow. Another client that I had, for example, it was they just launched last week. They had a trade show. It's the future of the grocery store. So the grocery store people have their own conferences where they show innovation in like the shelving and how to display your products. So I think this one they wanted to show the theme was the future of grocery shopping. And so the marketing agency came to one of my clients, who then came to me because I've been doing this so long. And so they wanted to film in the grocery store. You have your cart, and as you walk around, imagine you had augmented reality or mixed reality glasses. And when you walk, you could see like your shopping list is as a heads-up display, but then you see the titles of each aisle. When you're looking at a section, you could see like, this is a healthy choice. This is less healthy. Wow. This one is like newly released product. You can add it to your cart. You take it, and as you add it in your cart, it automatically updates your totals. Now, this is just a proof of concept. It wasn't really happening. Yeah. So we had to film. We actually filmed with that camera, the Insta360. I was going to use the 180, but they wanted a more immersive look. So we went to a Metro store at 7 a.m. before it opens, filmed the aisles, filmed that. Then you had to put the products in the cart. And all of it was done with Blender. We added, menus and interactive stuff. So when you feel like you're clicking and you're adding stuff to your cart, it was all just a sequenced video. And in the end, you got an experience to see what it'd be like shopping in the future. And like a girl your wife says, "Can you get some milk?" And then you get a pop-up and it automatically adds it to your shopping list.
My wife would buy those glasses for me tomorrow.
Yeah, so you're not like, "Honey, what was the thing you needed?"
Or what aisle is that in? Like my wife knows. Like if I'm going to the grocery store, I'll literally tell her, please keep your phone on you.
Yeah. And it's no longer, don't forget the list. It's don't forget your glasses.
Don't forget your glasses.
Don't forget your phone.
Yeah. Yeah, those glasses are going to change the world. Mark Zuckerberg has said, I think the phone will soon go away because, I mean, yes, you can take photos, but you can maybe just have it here. Yeah. Most of the time, you don't need to reach into your pocket just to see a message or reply or ask a question.
Yeah.
And my next sports glasses are the Oakley. That's on my list.
The Meta and Oakley ones? Yeah.
I'm gonna buy them just before the season. I'm an avid cyclist, and these glasses are pretty cool. Because just like the Meta, just like the Ray-Ban, this is the same as the Ray-Ban version 1. You can film, you can ask a question to the AI, and
that's so
but they're sports glasses. Like,
I'm an avid eater, so I need
for the food. Yeah, get your groceries.
Grocery glasses.
I don't need glasses to follow my belly.
But what was cool is that after we filmed the actual scene, we had a 3D artist create, the interface and the mock-ups and your shopping list. On your cart, there was a heads-up display so you could see what you what's left to do. So as you're moving your cart, this virtualized interface is physically on the cart, and it was all rendered in stereoscopic 3D. So when you have the goggles, those menus are really like floating in front of you as 3D in the aisles, and it was a cool project.
That would be considered MR, right? Mixed reality.
The real life application of it is mixed reality. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We did it in VR to show what it would look like if you had the glasses, which don't exist yet. Yeah. But yeah, it was a mixed reality proof of concept.
Interesting.
This is such a good subject because, talking about what we do day in and day out here at SFM, we cover everything from video capture with brands like Blackmagic Design to post production with Avid and Da Vinci, Genelec monitors for the post production as well. We do touch in the immersive world, but not directly. So it's interesting to hear how immersive now has made it out into all these different industries and how all our brands indirectly touch it. I think that's what the really cool link is between all these things.
You're forgetting about Christie, because Christie does projection mapping as well, stuff like that.
Projection, wow.
We didn't even brief Daniel to mention Blackmagic. It's just a dominant player in the business.
Organically, absolutely. A small anecdote, a couple of years ago, I visited a live production house. And they were explaining to me how they started using virtual reality, VR now. And this was years ago. This might have been 5-6 years ago, with their lighting designers to try to sell concepts to these big artists. So you'd have, let's say, a big country artist roll in and say, guys, this is what I want my arena tour to look like. What are some of the ideas you have? Now, obviously, with the rendering software, it's capable of, showing a really good look, right? You input your lights, the beam, the intensities, you get an idea. But how does it feel for the crowd? So that's when they would bring in a VR artist or a VR firm to come in and start rendering the entire arena and what it would look like with these lights and with the audio. And that is what their trick was to sell these large tours or these large productions, was by using the immersive technology to get that. Wow. So my question to you, Daniel, is, are you seeing more of that? Are you seing less of that? Like, what are you seeing in the live production or live event space?
Yeah. So one of the biggest players in that live concert space, maybe is it Pixmob? I think.
Yeah, of course.
Pixmob.
Yeah.
So they came to us to film Taylor Swift's show. They wanted to show what it looks like in real life with VR. At the time, I guess they didn't have it in house.
Hugo's a big Swiftie, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice. So we didn't end up getting the contract. They had a team, I think, in California that ended up doing it, but we pitched on it, and they wanted to film it in VR to show not what the rendering would look like, but to film an actual concert so they could sell it to other clients. They have those bracelets that sync up and it makes all these colors. So that's a good example of how you can pre-visualize that before the show, make your plans of the sequence of lights, put it in VR, and you can see if it looks good in the full stadium. On the live sound, on the live concept, I haven't done much live because it's tricky in terms of bandwidth and streaming. The place needs to have a good infrastructure. If you have these 5 8K cameras streaming in stereoscopic 3D, and not everybody live is a tough thing. It's
a different world.
Yeah, it's a different world, and sometimes we've done it, but the company didn't have enough promotion for the live event, so there was like, I don't know, like 50 people watching when you'd want like 1,000 or 10,000. So it's hard to get people at the time to put on a headset at that moment and watch live. You could stream to YouTube and have it live there. The most cool thing I've seen is iHeartRadio has been working with Meta to create these intimate live concerts, so that they will have like Imagine Dragons or Doja Cat, and they'll either have their own studio where they'll film a live and intimate show. They have a real crowd, and I think they're using the Canon R5Cs with the 180 VR lens that Canon released, the 5.2 millimeter dual fisheye. And so I think they have like 4 or 5 of those, and they'll place it one in the drummer's seat, one in the crowd, one right up front of the singer. And normally if it was a live, you could switch cameras, and as the viewer, you say, okay, I want camera 1, 2, and you could move around the stage. But the way they're releasing it is just they cut from camera 1 to camera 2, so you have a linear video experience showing the best moments from each. Okay. But we've done some where, in theory, you have like in Oculus app, it's an interactive app where you have all the feeds coming in, and the user can choose the camera that they want to see,
like Meta Horizon kind of thing.
Or its own custom app. It could be like the Imagine 360 live concert app, and at the bottom you have like camera A, B, C, D, and then all the streams are feeding into it, and you're just selectively choosing which one you want to see. This camera, the Insta360 Pro, does have live streaming capabilities. It has an Ethernet port coming straight out. And the only thing is it can only do 4K internally, or else you need a private stitching server to stitch it into 8K and then go online. And there's a 20K license for that. But you can have 5 of those, either in 180 or 360 VR, and stream like that. But I'm sure now with the Blackmagic Ursa, you'll have even better setups for live.
Very cool.
It's at a good price point too, the 12K versus a lot of the other.
And we did talk a little bit about the gear that you use to capture, but as you know, my background is post-production. I'm curious about what tools you mentioned. You mentioned Resolve, but what kind of tools you're using to, without going into too much details, but let's say, once you have footage coming from the production,
cameras,
what are the steps? Is this similar to standard post-production, like you derush, then you do offline edit, then online edit, then final stitching and color grading? And stuff like that?
It's pretty much like that. The only extra software I've had to use, where there's some plugins, I've used Boris FX Continuum.
Yep. Yes,
it has a nice suite for Resolve for putting in titles, reframing in 3D VR. So Boris FX Continuum is really good, and Mystica is the one we use. I know there's Mystica Boutique, and they have a whole different line for post, but Mystica VR is specifically for stitching a virtual reality video.
Oh, I know about Mystica. I mean, it's a finishing product. It's a finishing software that was used like years ago, but I didn't know that.
So they have a VR one exclusively.
Wow.
And they have all the presets for all the cameras, like the Titan, the Ozo, the GoPro rigs. All of these cameras have a preset. So they've aligned it perfectly. It's almost like a one-click, to calibrate the stereo mode. And you have the ability to, most of the cameras have their own stitching software that comes with it, like Insta360 Pro, GoPro has their own, QCam, Kandao has their own as well. They're good, but they're not pro level. So with Mystica, you can really fine tune. It uses your GPU more effectively as well, all the cores, to get a faster render. And you can create keyframes between different lenses. So if somebody walks through the scene and comes really close, with the other software, you can only apply one stitching effect for the entire video, and that's what's going to be stitched throughout. Whereas here, you can fine tune the stitch throughout the video with keyframes. So when someone gets closer, you say, I just want to use this lens's video more for this part. And then when they move away, you can then combine and go back to the other lenses. Mm-hmm. So the fine control on the stitching is really good. So I use Mystica when it's a big project. If it's a fast one that doesn't really matter, or all the subjects are far away, we don't need to go into Mystica. We can just use the native stitcher, which has an AI mode now. So optical flow for interpolating video. It's also used for stitching. To when things don't match up perfectly, the optical flow will kind of create new pixels to make it merge better. And then there's the AI version, which uses AI to optimize the stitch further.
Like machine learning and stuff.
And the editing is done in...
Yeah, so the editing, once I export from Mystica or those software, I'll get a equirectangular video. So it's 2x1, 360 by 180. If it's stereo, then it's 1x1. It's pretty much a square because the 2x1 becomes 1x1. And that usually is in H.265. Or if you want the best quality, we'll export in ProRes, bring that into DaVinci Resolve, and just work on it like a normal video. But then we'll use Fusion to put effects in it and animate stuff, or, you know, if you put a 3D model into the virtual reality scene, we'll have to go through Fusion. And that's where Boris FX is handy as well. Because if you put a straight line in, let's say a text like this straight, if you just slap it onto the video, if it's long enough, it will become warped and curved. You need it to be 360 aware so that it looks straight when it's in.
This is where Boris comes into play.
Boris, yeah. The native tools in DaVinci have some tools, but you have to use the nodes, and it gets messy if you have a lot of stuff. So it's a little bit slower, I find, to go that route. The post-production Premiere has also been quite good.
Yeah, that because I remember a few years ago people were using Premiere, but
yeah. So I know a guy personally, Chris Bobotis. He launched this thing called now I can't remember the name, but it was a tools to work on 360 media for post-production. It was a plugin for Adobe. And I think it was called Mettle, Mettle. And it was so good that Adobe bought his company. And now...
Like they do, Adobe does that.
Yeah, and now when you're working on 360 footage, in Adobe, there's an Immersive tab. And that's essentially his plugin that is embedded directly into Adobe.
Very cool.
So Adobe has a good native tools that are easy to use. But color science is a little off, and there's been crashing, and like some people have had to roll back to previous versions to have stability, and it's not as fun. Whereas Resolve is
that's it. Your go-to right now is Resolve. Okay.
And unlimited resolution is really nice too. You can work with any resolution, like 16K, 20K, 32K if you're rendering for the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's on another level.
You need beefy. Like my GPU, I have 12 gigs of RAM, and even at 8K, it's at 12 gigs. You know, I think I need to go to 24 now or 32 to keep up.
Whoa.
So the big theme here today was video, but we talk a lot about audio as well.
I'm an audio guy. Yeah.
Exactly. So tell us, I know right before the podcast, you were telling us that you had forgotten to bring a microphone, but you do a little bit of spatial audio. How, predominant is that when you're selling a solution, or is that not even a thing? Because on our side, it is a thing, especially in museums and stuff like that. They're trying to go with that.
Installs. And
like surround sound, stuff like that.
Like, what do you call it?
Atmos, immersive.
Yeah, Atmos, immersive.
22.2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so most clients that we work with are, an enterprise and tourism boards or a museum. They might know about surround sound when you have headphones or in a movie theater, but they don't think about it in virtual reality.
Okay.
So it's rare that they'll come to us and say, we need surround sound for this. We often will pitch it as a bonus. If you want to have the most immersive sound, we'll use that. Our cameras do have 4 microphones. Most of them now have 4 up to 6 microphones in the camera. So you can either capture in stereo or 4-channel ambisonic, AmbiX. And you can just export directly. So you have your 4 channels like that. Like the Insta360 Pro has that built in. And when you're streaming live, you can also stream the audio in spatial audio. But you need the right player that can decode the spatial audio, or also just default to stereo, right? So, and there's been a lack of standardization between platforms like Meta, YouTube, other players like DOVR, Apple's ecosystem. Each use a different, is it muxing to put it back?
Muxing,
muxing. So
multiplexing.
Based on that, you need to have the right export. And if you do one, it may work here, but not there. So you have different versions for each. So spatial audio can easily get messy. If you know the exact hardware you're going to distribute on, it's fine. But if you have multiple outlets, then you'll need a different version for each. So sometimes we just go stereo and say, it's good enough like that. And many clients are happy with that. It still sounds good. It's just that when you turn your head the stereo will follow your head.
Yeah.
It won't follow the scene. So if there's a lot of action going on, you can't really identify a specific source for the audio. It's not a problem. But if you're in a quiet room in virtual reality and a person's talking to you and then they walk around you, you'd expect the sound to track. And usually it does, but you also want it to react when you're turning your head and still.
This is where binaural can come into play.
Yeah. Essentially what the headset is doing, because it only has stereo speakers, stereo headphones, is it's taking the ambisonic 4-channel and then continuously mixing it down to a binaural mix. And when you rotate your head, it now recomputes the directions and there's a new mix constantly. So you get this binaural effect.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we do it for bigger projects, and we've even worked with people who are just dedicated on spatial audio to produce, like, we'll record the scene with the audio from the live caption, but then sound effects, voiceover, narration, a door closing, all these extra sound effects have to be brought in and mixed spatially to create a richer experience. So that's, and the workflow is pretty much, we can do all that in Resolve with the plugins.
Very interesting. I thinking about that. I know in a few videos ago we did AV trends for 2026, and we talked about UC and collaboration and stuff like that, and how things are changing, the hybrid model in meetings and stuff like that in corporate spaces. And I know you had mentioned, like, nobody's really thinking about the far end person. So the person that's not in the court or the boardroom with everybody else, but at home, and nothing has really elevated that experience. I remember a time where you were playing around because you were streaming it, or I think you put up the video on Facebook, but you were actually in the boardroom, I think, testing. I think that was the Meta stuff, right? That was the Facebook meeting.
Meta Horizon. Meta Horizon. Yeah.
Okay, that is Meta Horizon. Okay. Are you seeing any
Meta Horizon workrooms, to be specific?
Okay, workrooms.
Yeah, because they have Horizon, the gaming thing where you can create your own worlds, and workrooms was the collaboration focus thing.
And is this, when you mentioned early in the podcast, you said that you guys are working remotely, but when you have meetings, you have virtual meetings in VR. Is that the solution you're using?
So we have we have a virtual office that's 3D, but it's on your computer. So it's like a video game. And then we have a virtual version of that where it is, you put on a headset. So depending on if it's a quick meeting, maybe we won't put on a headset. We could just meet there and have there is a physical boardroom that like an RPG, you have to walk your character, sit on the desk. Then you see people who are late, they're coming in, and it's really funny because then in a Zoom meeting, you're just watching the screen is squares.
Squares
you don't see they just appear. You don't see them come. Whereas here you see the person load into the lobby and then walk across, and you're you're late. Where have you been? Yeah, it's funny.
Is this a custom-made solution that you guys designed for your own?
No, there's an app called Spot. The Spot, and you can create multiple rooms. You can put your own custom wall art and decorate it. Let's say we're avatars at the boardroom. I can have my laptop and then share my screen onto the virtual screen in the room. So then, and when you activate your webcam, it will remove the background from your house. And then based on where you're sitting, it will put the background behind you so that the video looks like you're standing in that boardroom.
Oh my gosh.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah, Spot is nice. Also, we'll use Spatial and spatial.io. They have full on mobile, desktop, and virtual reality, so it's cross-platform. So let's say you can put on your headset, you could just open your phone and use the app to walk and be in the event or the meeting, whereas I could be on my headset. So it's cross-platform. That's really nice for collaboration. And brands have been building really nice immersive spaces in there. I think Walmart had a Black History Month experience where they worked with Black artists to create art and an exhibit to support that with records. You could see their music and the art they had made. I think Pirelli, they had made one really nice one. It was showing how they designed the tires. There was a merch store, their philosophy, and they did collaborations with photographers, and that was all there. So these immersive spaces are getting pretty big. Roblox, VR Chat, all have millions of users now, and the metaverse is growing steadily. Meta is also, they're killing off Horizon workrooms, unfortunately. So I think they wanted the future of the workspace to be in VR, but they had a hard time getting executives to put on headsets and meet virtually when they could just have everyone come into the office.
So that was the big thing.
So
right?
it's a bit sad they're doing that, but there's other solutions that will be around. It's just that Meta, it's just not their focus.
They're focusing on different things
for that, but there's other solutions. So it's not dead in the water. It's just that solution didn't take off, and they're focusing on the gaming side, developing there, and Horizon Worlds as well is moving to mobile only. So for a while, you'll still be able to access it in a VR headset and connect with people on mobile, but they're just seeing way more uptick from mobile users because anyone can access it directly. So eventually you will have no more virtual reality in Horizon. But Workrooms was really good at the time. During COVID, one of my business partners was in Toronto. We met 3 times a week for about an hour to 2 hours each in the headset. I'd put it on. There'd be a chair like this and he'd suddenly teleport into it. It didn't look quite like him. It was an avatar, obviously. But his hands would move when he talked. He could share his screen. We had a whiteboard. You use your controller upside down and you can write on your desk and it would appear on the on the wall and you can collaborate on it. You could add images, take notes, share our screens. And just seeing him like that face to face, when I turn my head, the audio is spatialized. So you really feel like there's someone in the room next to you. And even though we were far away physically, it felt like we had been meeting in person daily or twice weekly.
Yeah.
It's a nice experience.
But for the non-geeky people, I guess the biggest roadblock was putting something big physically.
Yeah, and being used to it. I'm used to it, so I could spend hours in virtual reality, and then you have like a red ring around your face, but I don't get tired. But some people, after 15, 20 minutes, they need a break because you have to work your way up to longer sessions.
Get your VR legs, as they say.
But in Horizon Workrooms, what was cool is I've had meetings with clients where it was my first meeting with them. I said, come to our virtual office. We'll talk about the project and answer your questions. So I give them a link to my workroom. I'll have my headset on. I have my laptop projecting to the screen with a presentation ready to go. But they don't have a VR headset. So they would just get like a Zoom link and there's a screen inside the virtual office. So I would see them from their webcam, on a big screen. And then they would just see me as my avatar sitting there with the screen and presenting.
Pretty cool.
And it was pretty impressive. Some clients I won over just because they wanted a VR experience. Yeah. I'm selling a virtual reality experience in virtual reality. So it's more cohesive than if I'm just like on Google Meet or something. Meta has been working on, and Apple now has it too. It's called the codec avatars. So you just take your phone, you go like this, scan your face, and it will create a pretty high resolution, lifelike version of your face. And with the eye tracking in the Meta Quest Pro, you can go like this. It has a camera down here that tracks your mouth as well.
Oh wow!
So it never got to Horizon Workrooms, but eventually the idea was you'd have a 1-to-1 avatar face for each of your employees or people you're meeting with. They'd have hand tracking, facial expressions, and it would look just like them. So if you never met them in real life and eventually had meetings, when you meet them in person, you'd recognize them like that. It was very high fidelity, and I think you've seen it on Apple.
Yeah, the FaceTime.
When you talk to someone, you have a FaceTime and you see their eyes through the headset. So I think hopefully one day we'll have avatars for everyone, and you can just have virtual meetings like that.
Yeah.
Maybe your makeup is not good, or you're like had a bad night, but in your avatar you always look your best.
Well, we got to wrap it up soon, but question for all three of you, I guess. We talked so much about the immersive experience, and on the ProAV side, do you think it's practical? Do you think it's the tech is practical for some of the pro stuff, I guess, or do you think there's still barriers that need to be?
Well, like going back to my example, what I said about the lighting designer, that were using it to sell the concepts. I think there it has a really important part that's not being utilized as much as it should be. So I think we'll see a lot more of that going forward as it's become a lot more cost effective to do so. You know, before you needed a lot of rendering power, a lot of headsets, now almost anyone, I mean, a lot of people have a headset just readily available at home now. So I think we'll start seeing it a lot more, or we'll continue to see it more in the sales process, in the preparation organization side of things. But to see it as, you know, like you said, as an add-on, so like a concert will have obviously a live audience, but then they could maybe sell it as a secondary revenue stream by having it virtually. I think there's still, to his point, we still need to make sure that the infrastructure is okay, that all the different people are communicating so that everyone's in sync and ready to have that secondary production available. Because now not only do you have to worry about the first production and the primary production of in live performance, but now you've got to worry about the secondary one, right? So it's adding a whole other complexity. But I think with time and technology and extremely intelligent people like Daniel, then it's going to become a lot more popular. So yeah, I think there is a space for it. I think it's something that'll be built upon. I'd love to see more of it. I mean, just hearing Daniel speak today, there's so many things I didn't know about, or
I'm going to rewatch it to take notes because I want to try these softwares.
You know, I think that in itself is also a barrier to entry, right? Like there's so much unknown. It's very complicated, but when you have someone like Daniel understand it and bring it to the masses, we need more people like Daniel to be able to implement it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I hope to, I'm an evangelist for VR. Always, when I go to shows, I put it on people, and I think I must have shown VR for the first time to like thousands of people from all the events. And I don't know if you ever tried Richie's Plank experience.
Yeah.
It was like you put on a headset, you go into you walk into a virtual elevator, you press the button, you go up to the top floor. Yeah. And then there's like a piece of wood and you have to walk on it. And at trade shows, instead of showing the client's work, we just do this because it gets people to come in. It makes a long lineup. Yeah. So, and we've done like a lot of virtual reality experiences for the first time. And I think the other cool thing is for concerts, I recently watched the Coldplay show. When you're at the show, sometimes you have seats in the back, or I have a friend who's like this. She's very short. When she goes to a show, everyone's standing up and she can't see the show. So sometimes you have a bad angle or you just can't see anything. With virtual reality, I was in the piano as, what's the Coldplay singer's name? I forget his name. Martin or?
Yeah.
Martin? Chris Martin. Yeah, Chris Martin. So he's looking at the camera and I'm right there. And then instantly I'm next to the drummer watching him play. So
that's cool.
Even if it was on TV, they could have multiple cameras showing those.
Right. So you're making it accessible.
But it's on a flat screen and you're not seeing it. Here it's 3D and I'm right in there. So in some ways, concerts or these live events can really give every user, maybe someone's handicapped, they're all the way in the back or they're sitting, it gives you an experience that you can't reach. You can't put 1,000 people on stage either, or 100,000 people. So that's that's nice.
To Daniel's point, I'm also a believer that augmented, or let's call it XR, it has been coming for the past 5 to 10 years. We're talking about it, and now everyone's talking about AI. But VR, the technology to consume and the technology to capture is getting very democratized. Like you can get a VR headset for $300. So I think it's a matter of time. And those glasses from Meta, like soon you'll be able to like have real glasses with an overlay on top of it, and this is what's coming. That's for sure.
Yeah, and to your point, the technology is improving so much that now, back in the day, you had to set up a private server to stream content. Now, Facebook, for example, released a new app called Hyperscape. That's one you should check out. So Hyperscape uses. Can you pass me the?
Yeah.
Yep.
Reach it. I probably might as well show it off. Here's the MetaQuest 3, everyone. So it has cameras over here, and this here is a LiDAR. So it sends laser light. When it bounces back, it measures the time of flight to estimate how far away everything is. So with this app, you put it on, you say scan space, and you're going to see the room around you. I wish you could do a live demo here. There we go. And when you see the room, a mesh starts to appear. And as you move your head around, the mesh starts going over all the objects around you. And it says, okay, walk around the whole room and it puts a mesh on everything. That's stage one. Then now it says go back and look at it in more to remove the mesh. So now you come and you go closer to it, and the more you get details of each part of the scene, it removes the mesh, showing you now that you've detail scanned that area. And it's all, again, like augmented reality. The headset can see the room, so it has the SLAM technology to know where it is in the space. But it kind of hurts your neck because you have to go like this everywhere. So I could scan this space with just this headset. Normally you need a DSLR or a phone. Now you could just wear the headset, and as you're doing it, you're seeing how much is left to scan. And in the last phase, it asks you to just find the corners of the room and the walls to figure out the exact layout. So then you'll see the grid appear. Then all of that is uploaded from the headset to Meta's server. It takes about a few hours to process, and it will create what's, Gaussian splatting. Maybe you've heard of that. It's like the new photogrammetry AI-powered neural rendering technique. But the model is so high quality, like it's really one of the scenes I put on. I had scanned the day before in a castle in Italy, and I was in the upstairs part of the castle. When I put on the headset, for a second, I thought I was downstairs because what I was seeing was so real. It messed with my mind. I'm like, what? I'm upstairs. And I had to just remind myself it's not real, because the lighting, Gaussian splatting, is a very high quality reproduction of the real space. But the headset couldn't run the amount of polygons and pixels is too heavy for a mobile. This is a Snapdragon XR chipset. Yep. It can't run it locally. So Meta servers are rendering what you're seeing and streaming it to the headset in real time. So when you're watching these scenes, you no longer have to have, a beefy NVIDIA card in here just to be able to run that. Normally, that's what you would need to see the scene at that quality level. Mm-hmm. So with faster streaming formats that are more compressed but still have good quality, we can stream stuff in real time. Yeah. Real time streaming of these massive data sets. So as technology evolves, it's opening new possibilities. Whereas before you'd have to have a computer be tethered wirelessly or connected to the computer to see that kind of data. And with Hyperscape, you can have extremely realistic scans. Okay. And I've done some castles. I did events too. So maybe someone at an event or to show the space with the lighting could just put on a headset, walk around, scan it, and then you have a super lifelike one-to-one digital twin of the space. For now, it's locked behind their stuff, but you could do it on your own with your own cameras. But that'd be one way to create a space, and then you can then cut it up and place other objects within it to design a better set, or collaborate with a designer to improve it based on their. Very cool. So Hyperscape, check it out.
Yeah, I will check it out. That's for sure.
You can visit Gordon Ramsay's kitchen. Chance the Rapper's studio as well, and you can walk around and just you can go like this and see under his keyboard, and everything is as it. That's true virtual reality, 6 degrees of freedom.
That's crazy. I'm a huge proponent. I'm a huge evangelist for VR, and I've always enjoyed it. But and we discussed a little bit of some of the roadblocks, but I still think that immersive experiences is so. I think XR is the future, but I think for people who don't have, who are still have some of those roadblocks, the message today is, I think, immersive technology, regardless whether it's projector mapping or spatial audio or VR or XR, is the way to go. I mean, we're always thinking about can people elevate the experience, whether it's in a boardroom or at a live concert, or even visiting a mine or whatever for investors. It could be whatever it is, but I think we're at the stage now with AI and machine learning and with faster processing that immersive experiences is the way to go. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure, guys. Yeah. Thanks for having me here.
It's always good to meet people, passionate people. Yeah.
Thank you.
And pushing the technology forward, and because it's guys like you that really helps and get everybody buying up all kinds of toys and stuff like that.
So. Yeah, I'm hoping to work on a new app. So we'll have our own proprietary app that maybe it's a collaborative thing or some kind of gaming, puzzle hunting, multiplayer thing. So maybe eventually for now it's all been client work. and just producing content, but we want to create something of our
Right.
own
Yeah.
that we could just sell and have passive income, and
Nice.
almost like a video game, but more of interactive. Like this one app called Brink VR. They went around the world scanning real places, Antelope Canyon, the Grand Canyon, some forest scenes, and they scan it with in super high resolution photogrammetry, and then you can put it on, meet with other people, and just explore the world. And from your living room, you can walk around and feel like you're in the space. A little bit more immersive than 360 videos. So it's one way to create apps, and it could be a meditation app, a training app, stuff like that is something we have on the horizon.
That's amazing. Well, we'll love to have you maybe again on the podcast, and maybe we'll have the podcast on the VR. In a virtual
I could
world.
technically scan this room without you guys, and then you could have any guest from wherever pop them in here as an avatar, and they could be
crazy.
having here a virtual podcast in this room.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anyways, we'll definitely have to pick your brain on another. There's just too much to unpack today. There's just way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to have like this.
Oh yeah.
These are my stereo glasses, so sometimes I don't use them as much anymore, but when I want to quickly check the 3D of a video, instead of rendering it out, putting on the headset to see how the 3D is, I can just switch it to anaglyph on my screen and put this on. I can see in real time how it looks.
Perception.
Yeah, is it good? Is the stereo off? And then I can adjust it and see how it.
That's amazing.
So these are actually still very handy for production. I also worked on I had a Panasonic 3D TV with the active 3D, and there I could also just do side by side, and the glasses, it would put the images together and have a real-time 3D
Very
check.
cool.
Very cool.
All right.
Thanks again.
Thanks,
Bye,
Daniel.
everyone. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, man.
Pleasure.
I'll be your love, I'll be your sunshine.